Welcome, Panic Button. Jesse.
Hey, welcome to Panic Button. I'm Nina. So, if you haven't heard of Maren Morris, I'm not surprised. But apparently she did that song, Meet Me in the Middle. Or I think it's just called The Middle.
No,
but
The Middle is the one by Jimmy Eats World.
not that one.
That's The Middle.
The in the middle, that one. Anyway, a post of hers is going viral because she had an interaction with a man and she didn't like it very much because it had to do with her son. So, we're going to react to liberal hive mind covering this.
All right, folks. So this popped up on my timeline here. The caption reads as follows. Country singer Maren Morris, who is openly bisexual and paints her 6-year-old son's nails, says that she got into an argument with a man who told her that her son needs to, quote, toughen up. She said the comment came up at a weekend party while discussing gender stereotypes. Morris said that it made her see red and the conversation got heated and the man stormed out. Take a look at this.
My son just turned 6 and some of these gender things happen pretty early where it's like only girls can like pink. Girls can't like Spider-Man. And they hear this like at school from another friend, like whatever. And it's my job as his parent to correct that and be like, actually, anyone can like the color pink. I like Spider-Man. And they snap out of it pretty quick. They're like, oh, cool. But this guy I was talking about this with was rolling his eyes and like being pretty dismissive of my concerns and was like, well, these boys need to toughen up anyways. And upon hearing that, of course, my first instinct is to see red. I can emotionally regulate myself. And I just calmly said, no, he doesn't need to toughen up, actually. And listen, my son is, he has to bust his gums or something to cry. But he's also like extremely gentle and he loves baseball. He loves musicals. He's obsessed with Hamilton right now. He loves colors. And sometimes we paint his nails. He loves to like make jewelry now and friendship bracelets. And it's like he's a person. And our job is just to never shame them for expressing those things. That's the best part about being a kid. But the tough way that word was being used by this man, I was like, he does.
I just had to say something really quick. There's a difference between a kid liking something because he likes it and then liking something because his mom likes it. What it seems to me is that the kid likes stuff that his mom likes because he's probably always with his mom. So is he really finding what he likes as an individual child? I'm not sure.
I think there's a lot to be said about both sides. If you have a sensitive son, you shouldn't beat the crap out of him. Obviously. Mm-hmm. But it maybe is important to teach them to have tougher skin, especially if you have a feminine or sensitive son. And I'm not saying that to say, oh, they have to be manly. No, they can make as many friendship bracelets and design skirts and whatever they want and be as gay as they want or as metrosexual as they want. My point is, if you have a feminine son or a sensitive son even, it can be harder in life for him.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that the words toughen up should be what we use either, but as women, we've heard that a lot too. And I think one of the most vital lessons in my life was learning to get tougher and have thicker skin. I'm not a man, but it was important for me. I know plenty of women who would benefit greatly just from having thicker skin. It's not an exclusively male trait. The fact that you are getting so mad that he's making it male shows your sexism. That toughen up has to apply to men. No, toughen up, Buttercup. You've never heard that? You think that that's aimed completely at men? No, I heard that as a kid, and I've heard that from people who love me. Not because they want to knock me down, but because they want to see what's best for me. It does not inherently make you unable to like to paint your nails or whatever. Do I think that you should be doing that with a 6-year-old?
Sound like that, yeah.
No, I mean, if the kid wants to put nail polish on, like at home, fine. But at school, you're going to get made fun of. So if you want to do it at home, that's fine. They have to peel off stuff for kids. I don't care. When I was a kid, I dyed my hair, and my brother wanted a blue mohawk. Mm-hmm. That could be perceived as somewhat fruity by some people. But for him, he loved blue and wanted a mohawk. Sometimes it's not deeper than that. They're kids.
It is good for kids to toughen up because when they become adults,
life isn't so kind.
Life is always unexpected. You never know what's going to happen from one day to the next.
No, and life is not kind, especially to people who are more feminine.
Right, especially men. I mean, gay men are tough.
They
right?
can
Just
be.
because they're feminine doesn't mean that you have to be weak. You could be sensitive and still be tough.
Yes.
But to train your child to not ever have to be tough is going to make it more difficult for him interacting with males and females.
To act like tough is inherently male, number one, is degrading to women. There's tons of tough women out there.
Yeah.
Number two, shows your misogyny, your internalized misogyny, as they would like to say, because you view toughen up as inherently masculine. It's not.
No, it's not. So
Women can have balls in that
she's
sense.
like,
Like, women can do
adhering the
things.
word tough
To masculinity.
while also saying that
How dare you use it as a masculine phrase for my son who is masculine, hypothetically.
she's practicing not adhering to gender stereotypes while
Adhering to gender stereotypes. Yes, that's the exact problem.
Exactly. Yeah. Now, if he grows up and he's not told that like being tough can be a good thing, you know what I mean? If
You have
he's
to know when to be
always
tough
like
in the right moments.
right, but if he's trained by his mom to be weak, then he's going to
Or
be
overly sensitive.
right. Then if he's a straight guy, he's going to growing up and he's a straight guy, he's going to be targeted by women who are going to use and abuse him, and he's going to be targeted by men because men, they mess with each other all the time. You know, their way of communicating and having friendships is way different than women's. But if he ends up being a gay guy or trans or whatever,
Any type of homosexual.
it's still going to be difficult for him. It's going to be even more difficult if he's gay. You know what I mean?
You haven't built the tough skin that he needs to survive through life. And like I said, because you're making that an inherently masculine trait, it's making you avoid it like the plague. But you have to realize that toughness is of great value.
It's
not saying to be a no one said to be a bully. That's never what I heard.
No.
No one said to be an a-hole, a bully, to beat people up. No, they said you need to get a little tougher.
It's like she's trying to protect him from ever experiencing anything where he has to be tough. So then he's going to end up being some like weird incel living in her basement where she can protect him all the time.
To be tough implies you face challenges.
Yeah.
So you want your Nepo baby to be okay and not face challenges. We know that's great, but even at that, as a Nepo baby, I'm not one, but I could assume you especially want tough skin. People are going to talk about your parents for the entire life, if not like even after, and so you need tough skin to deal with whatever that might entail. If your parent messes up, if they do something like this, now you have to hear about it. Now, like, luckily he's a child, but what about when you're older? What if you find out your mom said some stuff like this, and you're like, Mom, you didn't want me to be tough? You didn't think I was tough?
Like, he's going to grow up being needy.
How would you feel if your mom said you weren't tough?
He's always going to need his mom. Like,
Maybe that's something that
not
she
good.
prefers. I mean, some moms have that kind of Stockholm you need to need me kind of feeling.
Parents are supposed to
Chaperone children into adulthood. To
They're supposed
teach
to
them
teach
and
them-
guide them.
Yeah. In order to handle, good parents teach and guide their children to be able to handle anything unexpected that happens in life, to be able to navigate adulthood.
With the skills you need.
Yeah. But it's almost like she just wants to shield him from anything bad. And that's not going to help him at all.
As much as anyone, and I can understand wanting to do that because that's your child or whatever, and if this is your only child, that maternal instinct is like protect that child. I'm not saying that you shouldn't have these kinds of instincts. However, taking them to the extremes is a problem. You want your kid to be able to swim and not sink. If you never teach your kid to swim because you'd rather be holding them up the whole time, then when they finally are alone in water, they're going to sink to the bottom. That's the point.
Yeah, it's like the teaching men to fish thing.
Yes, if you teach a man to fish, he'll have a fish every single day when he goes out. If you give a man a fish, he'll have a fish once.
Yeah.
That's the same idea, but with swimming, the same idea with its child.
Doesn't need to be tough, especially not in the way that you're using that word. And that made him upset.
I mean, it's absolute delusion. And what-
Wait. But how does she know how he was using that word? She just automatically assumed.
Is she
because
gonna
she's got
imply-
something against men.
Is she going to imply he's not tough because he got upset during the conversation?
You can't be tough and wear nail polish as a male?
You can't be tough and get upset. Apparently, tough is only once. You can only be tough all the time or never.
Tough doesn't have like one strict definition. It means a lot of different things.
And
but
people-
she's got this very strict definition, like it's toxic masculinity.
And guess what? People aren't tough all the time. It's not like an identity. It's not something you can notice on someone and be like, that's it. No one is going to be consistently tough for every situation. A lot of people might be for a lot of them, but how would they have relationships? How would they have friendships? At some point, you have to be funny, not tough. At some point, you have to be loving, not tough. If you have children, especially. At some point, you're not tough, you're submissive to your boss. Everyone is.
What happens when he gets into a fight with his friends? Is she supposed to fix everything for him?
He shouldn't be tough. He should just fumble and fall.
Cry into a
But
puddle?
she didn't do that. She was tough because she stood up for her son in her mind, right? Mm-hmm. I'm not saying that I agree with that. I'm saying that in her mind,
Right.
she's
Yeah.
tough because she did this.
Mm-hmm.
So calling it inherently masculine not only is wrong, it's proven against you with your own argument.
Yeah, it's very hypocritical. You know what?
Women can be tough. Women are, and I'm not saying tougher than men. Women and men are equally tough in a lot of different ways. Women have a whole baby pop out their hooter. You don't
Yeah.
think that's tough? I don't want to do it right now. I want a baby. I want to go through that kind of process, but I don't really want that.
Yeah,
I know it's a part. I know it's a part of the deal. Like, I guess I know that's gonna happen, but that's what they have C-sections for.
Yeah.
And like other things, because not only can the baby move, but like
Right.
it could be detrimental.
Quarter on the neck. Yeah.
And so you sit here and you say toughness is masculine, essentially with what you're saying.
She assumed how he was saying. Yeah, she assumed what his message
But
was.
tough does not mean tough toys. Those are not masculine nor feminine in our language. And a tough toy is meant for dogs with heavy teeth who chew hard.
Yeah.
Is that masculine? I've had female pit bulls.
Who were very tough.
They were definitely tough. I had one named Stella. I used to call her Terror because she'd run down the hall, smack her body in the door, have the greatest time, and do it all again. She was tough as a motherfucker.
She's gonna end up with a son that's like Stuart. You know, Stuart.
No.
Remember Mad TV?
Yeah, I remember when
He's
I was
like-
in the live.
He's an adult man and is taken around by his mother.
That's a
and,
fetish.
and he. If you guys have seen Mad TV, you know what I'm talking about. He's an adult baby who's always being like shielded by his mom. She'll end up with a Stuart. I don't think that's a good thing because we laugh at that.
Haha.
And how is he going to handle being laughed at? I mean, the main people who are going to make fun of him as an adult if it keeps going like this is going to be guys,
Well,
mostly.
the thing is, a woman doesn't like when you don't stand up for her. If you're using her as a human shield, or if you're backing down from when she needs you to stand up for her, then you're also not perceived as tough. You're also not meeting someone at a challenging point, and women will leave you. So even if you're not gay, then you better turn gay, because
Yeah,
women don't want men who aren't like
Yeah,
stand up.
absolutely.
Even as a lesbian, I'm not saying I want a man because obviously I don't, but I do, however, want a woman who's willing to stand up for me, and I'm sure you probably want the same. Maybe not all the time because you understand, like you, I think, want more feminine women overall.
Yeah.
But I've always gone for not like necessarily more masculine, but I like the dominant end, the take care of you end, the loving, but like,
Strong?
yeah, that's why I usually date someone who's older, not intentionally, but that's what I am more attracted to.
Yeah.
And in that sense, I want someone who's tough. I want
Right.
someone who can take things. But I also want someone who's sensitive in moments. Does that mean I want a man? No,
No.
because I'm gay, so I clearly want a woman. But that doesn't mean there's no, like, obviously, I've been with you for 4 years. I've also had partners in the past. Not like, oh, wow, so many, but I've had a handful of partners in the past. So there's plenty of women who can meet that criteria. So how are you sitting here and saying that tough is inherently masculine when even you... I think a fair amount of people's perspectives would say if you even spoke up against it as a woman, against a man, you are considered tougher than most.
I don't think she wants to teach her son how to stand up for himself. I think she just wants
Wants
to
to
be
do
the
it for
shield.
him.
Yeah. That's very unhealthy.
It's just concerning, and your son's not going to develop healthy traits from you doing that.
No.
And I'm not saying, because obviously, and the alternative is, instead of her just trying to maliciously keep him from doing battles for himself, she loves her kid. She wants to see only good things for him. By allowing only good things in your kid's life, they get a false premise of what life is about. They get a false
idea of security,
that
yeah.
everything is going to be good for them because someone's always looking out for them. That's the problem with Nepo babies, because they feel like they
Yeah.
always have something on the back burner.
So when something actually bad does happen to them, they crumble into a million pieces. They're like the first ones to be
Exactly.
picked off.
Exactly. And it's the exact same way. And then the parents all mad at the world when the parent really should be reflecting. I'm not saying make
Mad
your
at
kid
themselves.
climb a mountain. I'm saying make your kid put the cheese on the pizza. Make your kid help with the eggs in the morning. Give them something that makes them feel like they have to do things.
Make him clean his room, as
Because
Jordan
that is
Peterson
the
says.
foundation. You are providing the foundation for a human being's entire life. Someone who could run our country, someone who could be our politician, someone who could be Einstein.
Okay, finishing up.
give 'em
really
better
bothers
shit.
me is the false sense of self-righteousness. She was, quote, seeing red. How could he ever say
she had
something
emotional
like
control.
that? Oh, what a terrible, horrible
what she
human
said.
being. But that man is totally, unequivocally, 100% right. Young boys do need to toughen up. And, obviously, the manosphere has been taken to an extreme level, and it kind of frustrates me because, it's used to diminish everything that they say, right? You got your Andrew Tate and Myron Gaines type guys. They take the rhetoric to an extreme. They push buttons, absolutely. And this causes a massive outrage, backlash in response. And that's used to then dismiss everything that they say. But again, it's kind of like a throwing the baby out with the bathwater kind of situation. Because look, you may disagree with Andrew Tate. You may think that he's a horribly unsavory individual. But a lot of the stuff that he says is true. And there's one thing that you hear from the guys in the manosphere over and over again, that men cannot afford to be weak. And this is a fundamental fact about manhood and masculinity. Because the unfortunate reality is, as a man, the world continues to spin and revolve without you. In fact, a lot of the times, if you're unable to keep up with the day-to-day rotation of the earth, it ends up applying kind of like a centrifugal force that shoots you off the frickin' deep end
Centrifugal.
into what I think can only be described as a bottomless pit. If you can't get your shit together as a man, nobody's showing you sympathy. Nobody gives a crap. You end up homeless. You end up with nothing, and not even a little bit of sympathy.
That's not true. Your mommy's always going to show you sympathy. That's the thing is with these Nepo babies,
They end up dating their moms.
they end up either dating their moms or never leaving their sides.
Yeah, they're like a pet.
And so, like, some people want that. It's like their purse baby, like a dog. But it's a baby. It's a whole human. And then they never leave their mom's side. The thing is, this woman's eventually going to get sick of this. This kid
She'll
leashing.
probably be really old by the time that happens, but yeah, she will.
Yeah. And then she's going to regret her decisions and be disgruntled with her child.
Yeah, because he's going to need her for everything. She will never have a life because he will rely on her for everything. Hey, Mom, could you break up with Susie for me? I can't do it.
I'm not tough enough. And you're
I'm
going to be
not
like, you don't
tough.
have to be tough.
I'll do it for you. It's like, well, aren't you representing being tough? The thing that you said is like misogynistic.
I love tough women, by the way. Jillian Michaels, hot, amazing. Babe, hot, amazing. I love tough women. So to sit here and be like, no, even more, like, I came from a family where the women did a lot.
Tough equals resilient.
My grandmother did a lot of things and then went on to work for CPS. Do you think that's not, does that not take a tough woman who had children and grandchildren to go and see abused children? Is that not someone who's tough to be able to go through that and then come home and not
Yeah.
be affected by that, like visibly to the children that are in her life?
Her idea of tough is like misogyny.
Is it not tough that you can
Toxic
stand up for me
masculinity.
and tell me things I need to hear when I'm feeling certain ways?
Yeah, but according to her, that's toxic masculinity.
Am I not tough when I have to deal with things at work that are not always meant intentionally for women? Like there's
Tough is not a gender stereotype.
There's plenty of times that tough applies to anything.
Yeah, not just men.
To be stuck on it, to be enforcing it with your child.
And she like gave the man the power as well.
I've never been
He said
so-
one thing and she got just so
Yeah.
inflamed. It's
Which
like
shows
well,
her misogyny.
Not only that, but the fact that she's weak. Like if a man can say anything and make her react in such an
Then he has
emotional
power
way,
over
he has
you.
power over her. Yeah, so
I'm-
that's what she's showing her child.
I've never been so grateful to have a parent, not just a parent, but a mother who went into the army. Mm-hmm. Not because of any like self-infatuating reason. She taught us that no matter who you are, it's important to be tough. Despite whatever else happened when I was a kid, that's a lesson I took. And maybe when I was like a kid, it wasn't easy to apply to them, but it taught me to have a backbone in this world.
Do you think if he would have said instead of tough, resilient, that she would have had the same reaction?
Do you think if he said instead of tough that he had a backbone, she would have had a different reaction?
I think maybe she just doesn't like men because she just got divorced too.
It's not that she doesn't like men. She only loves her husband thing and her child.
She doesn't have a husband. She got divorced.
Then her child.
Just her child.
The thing about some women, I'm not saying this to all women, but some women, especially younger ones, will have a child to not feel lonely. And I know that some people don't
yeah.
want to admit this, and some people don't want to hear this, but I know someone personally who slept with 9 guys in less than 7 days.
It's like Bonnie Blue.
Not quite, but close enough, right? To the point where she got pregnant and could not tell who the baby's daddy was. She
Yikes.
then continued to have 3 kids and 2 kids.
Well,
3
now
more.
she's not alone
She
at
has a
all.
total of 3 or 4. I'm not sure. And the fathers have custody. This woman had children
Damn.
to not be alone and to trap men. That is not necessarily the norm. I fucking pray to God it's not the norm, but it happens. And so men need to be tough. Men need to analyze situations. Men need to start acting like men. Just like women can be tough, men can be tough. And if you're not the most masculine, I don't care. I really don't. I've had gay friends. I've had straight friends. You've met my brother. He's relatively more open. He's not like, oh, that's feminine, oh, that's masculine, you know?
There's a broad definition of what man is. So when you say men need to act like men,
Yeah.
I mean, men need to act like men. Thinking about that for a second.
Well, when it comes to picking yourself up, men need to act like men, just like women act like men.
Being
The problem,
resilient, yeah.
the problem we really have right now is that women are trying to act like men, and men, at least from women's standard, should be more feminized.
But then you're just adhering to gender stereotypes again.
It's not that men even need to be men. It's that men need to be allowed to be men.
Yeah,
is
and
what I
don't be
think.
like training your child to.
I'm
make
sorry,
it-
I misspoke, but that's what the thing is. Men need to be allowed to be men.
But she's not allowing her child to even think that he should be acting like a man. She's like pretty much teaching him that acting like a man is toxic.
You know what? Just off the top of my head, like I said, I had an older brother and a younger brother, about the same, 3 years apart. I might have painted his nails as a kid. He's straight, but I might have painted his nails. We're kids.
Yeah, goth guys used to do it all the time, just paint their nails black.
And guess what? When you have a little brother, or an older brother even sometimes, but when you, especially a kid brother, and he sees you doing things, they want to join. Not because they think, oh, I want to paint my nails. They're like, oh, I want to have fun with my sibling.
And they look up to you.
Yes.
Just like the little boy looks up to his mom, so he likes the stuff that she likes.
My brother has never been in a homosexual relationship, but I specifically remember him putting on my mom's outfits and heels and being like, I'm mom, not because he wanted to be a woman, but because he was trying to make us laugh and trying to be like mom. And so if you over embrace those moments, but don't embrace the moments that are going to actually benefit them in the future, then you're genuinely setting these people up for failure. If you over notice the fact that Timmy picked up a Barbie, but you're not noticing that Timmy's getting bullied and needs to maybe hear, hey, take a shower. Come on, guys. Build tough kids in general. Men, women, girls, boys. Because guess what? It's hard out there for everyone. It is. Everyone's had bad days and good days, and so everyone needs tough skin.
And this isn't even like toxic femininity. This is toxic ideology. This is the toxic brain rot.
Let men be men and let women be women. If a man says boys need to be tougher and you don't agree, ask why, maybe. Did you ever tell him why? Do you feel that way?
Probably not.
Did you ever hear a why?
When what?
When she was explaining this.
No.
You only heard what. You never heard why. You heard her what and how she got so mad and how she reacted.
So she's always in her feelings.
You never asked him why you feel that way. I just had a discussion with someone at work about how we might come from different political spectrums, but the fact that we both like to debate and come to at least some kind of understanding is why we get along.
Yeah.
We don't agree on everything. In fact, there's been multiple cases where we disagree, but we agree to disagree. We stop and we say, you know what? I don't think that you're going to see my perspective, and I don't think I'm going to see yours. So maybe we'll just stop this for now, and maybe someday in the future we'll talk about when things change.
Yeah.
They really need to open their minds because they claim, people like this claim.
They're
and
open-minded.
You know they claim it. I didn't even have to say it. I was just prepping for it and you got it. But you know they do.
They preach a lot of things that they don't actually
And the people on that side will claim I'm conservative and closed-minded conservative at that. But I'm quite open to hearing things out. Like you should be open to that men and women can be tough. Boys can be a little feminine, but still have a backbone.
Define open-minded.
You know, I got bullied. My brothers got bullied. We both did. You know who suffered more actual physical stuff? The boys. So yes, when someone says a boy needs to be tougher, that's true. Women need to be emotionally tougher. Men need to be physically tougher in a lot of situations. But even the sensitive boys need to be emotionally tough too.
Being open-minded means being open to things that you might not have heard of or might not completely agree with, but are allowing yourself to hear that side. This is closed-minded.
Open-minded essentially is hear me out. Not that I'm gonna hear you out every time. Like, I'm not gonna agree with you every time, but I'll at least listen to what you have to say, right?
Yeah.
Is that not what you would, that's what I would think. But you claim to be so open-minded. Not you, but them, they claim it. And it's so evident that you aren't, that it's actually painful. And there are some of you that are. Some really are. And that's the people like the people at work that I was talking about earlier. Yeah. Those are the people I value, genuinely. And they're the people who are going to save whatever is left of this country because they're coming from a middle-minded place. These people, not saving the country, not saving our future, not saving the next generation.
They're the first people that if the ship starts sinking, they pile on the lifeboats until they sink, and then everyone's screwed.
Yeah.
To wrap this up,
just so sad.
She is teaching her son to eventually be a steward. A weak man who's going to need her protection and is going to be used and abused by both sexes his entire life, unless he's hiding out in a closet in his mom's basement.
It's just sad, honestly. I wish that I had developed an actual backbone sooner in life.
Sometimes it takes people a while to learn.
I wish that someone would have asked me if I could maybe consider getting thicker skin. And so for that reason alone, I think it's just a bad take.
Yeah, very, 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 very bad. Very, very bad take. Very hypocritical woman. Very toxic woman, by the way. Toxic.
Probably controlling, micromanaging. And I don't mean that even in a slightly insulting way, but if you're worried about how another man talks about your kid when it sounds like he wasn't even in the room, the child.
Yeah.
You might want to calm down. Like, I've heard people straight up call their kids the R word.
To loosen the, it's not loosen the...
Reins?
Yeah. There's something like that. There's a idiom or a saying. You got to loosen the
reins.
The leash on your child a little bit.
That too. I'm not saying send them into the park alone at midnight. I'm saying.
Right? Right?
Like,
not like we used to do when we were kids.
But like maybe like let them understand that like, hey, just because Billy called you stupid doesn't mean you have to come home and cry.
Yeah, life is unexpected. Things are going to happen to your child that you're not going to want to have happen, but are because life is unexpected, unpredictable.
It's okay if you cry, but Billy wanted to make you cry. You're only kind of giving him the power by doing so. If you let it roll off your shoulder because you know you're not stupid, then Billy doesn't have power over you. Do you think that that's inherently masculine? Do you think that conversation's inherently masculine?
No, I'd say that's inherently logical.
Because Billy could be making fun of you, a woman. Mm-hmm. But Billy could also be making fun of Steve, a boy.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing applies. And I wish that people would really think before they talk to or about their kids. Do you not see the difference in being like, hey, bud, I see that you're upset, and it's okay. I'd be upset if someone called me stupid, but like, breathe.
She's setting the blueprint for him by showing him. I don't know if he was in the room when this interaction took place.
Even if he just sees the video in the future.
But by the way she reacted, she's teaching him that
he should
not
also
to be
see
tough
red.
because she's not acting tough.
No, but in her head, she is. That's something I want to clarify again and again.
Yeah,
is that
she's
she
not.
thinks by saying what she's saying, she is being tough.
But you're like overreacting to someone saying something and you're getting all emotional, which shows that you don't have a thick skin. You're weak.
Right. But if we say that, then it's the opposite of what she... So if we call her weak... Sorry, I just got to talk about this. Her saying that men have to be tough is inherently masculine. So that's why she hates it. If we said... What did you just say?
By her getting overly emotional.
There. If we said her getting overly emotional shows she isn't tough, she'd call us misogynists.
Probably.
No, definitely, because we'd be saying, you are showing too much emotion. You aren't proving you're tough.
You're allowing this man to take the...
You're not crying, but you're
get
saying
the best
that,
of you.
You're saying that you saw red and you had to say this.
So he got the best of you because
So-
he said a sentence.
He activated you emotionally,
Yeah.
at the very least.
He knew, he could see that you were weak and he did it. And you let him.
He activated you in your emotions, which is what the point was he was trying to make against making your son stronger.
Yeah.
You would call us
He doesn't want-
misogynist because we're saying that a woman having an emotional reaction is not okay. But that's not the full context of what we're saying. What we're saying is a woman having this emotional reaction to her son being told that boys should be tougher overall shows that she's not tough and inherently emotional. And if you want to take that to be a feminine trait, that's on you. But I've known plenty of emotional men. I've known plenty of emotional women.
Yeah.
And the word emotional, this is one of the beautiful things about English. It's a hard language to learn, but we don't have inherently feminine or masculine words. So
That's
it's
true.
not feminine to be emotional. In fact, the word emotional carries no gender to it. When you guys want to talk about gendered language, that's literally not gendered language.
True. So what did you guys think? Let us know in the comments below. And like and subscribe to this podcast.
It's been painful.
Join our memberships to keep this channel going. I'm bad at fucking accents. Anyway, we'll see you later.
You're better than me.
Have a good
All
one.
I got is bye.